Well, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey, everybody, Cantonese Cat here. Palantir. I haven't done a video of Palantir for quite some time. I think last time I was talking about it was maybe sometime last month. I was just basically telling you what I think. That at this point, I think Palantir has hit his escape velocity and it could go up a lot higher. And I think that I might regret selling any shares in Palantir over the next perhaps 12 months. I just see it going a lot higher, you know. I mean, if you're just talking about the fundamentals, which I generally don't like to talk about all that much, you have earnings coming in about 2 weeks. Earnings probably going to be expected to be pretty good. You might have a little bit of sell the news event, but I think most likely you're going to end up getting around 30 to 35% growth, which would actually be somewhat supportive of the valuation. And it's going to be trading at a rich valuation if it's growing that much. That's just the bottom line. They also have impeccable balance sheets. They also have a lot of free cash flow. I mean, it's just a wonderful company to be in. It's diversified. It's basically can be used. I mean, I can talk about the fundamentals all I want, but let's look at the charts, right? What is it doing right now? Bollinger Band expansion on the monthly chart here, right? Upper Bollinger Band up, lower Bollinger Band down. This thing looks like it wants to keep running higher. Now, the only thing that I have against this chart here, is that it is really overextended, but it can stay overextended for a very, very long time. Where do I think that we could potentially hit a little bit of a snag? And where would it be maybe a little bit more realistic to kind of think, hey, you know, maybe I should start taking some profits here? You know, because if you're talking about something like this, like you really don't want to just short it. First of all, you short it, it's going to fuel it, it's going to push up even higher. Second is you're trying to sell it because you think it's way too high and trying to buy back lower. It's dangerous because you don't know the exact level it's going to be. It's just the same thing if I invert this chart here. This is a bad falling knife, right? I don't know where the falling knife is going to end. Like, it's just falling through gravity and it's accelerating to the downside, right? I don't know where the floor is going to be. Is the floor going to be 100? Is the floor going to be like 160, 200, 300? I don't know. I don't think it's going to go that way, but I just don't want to catch it, right? So same thing if I just invert it back. I don't really want to sell Palantir right now because I just don't know how far it's going to go up. Now, I can talk about some ideas in terms of where I think it's going to go. Could we end up hitting snag right here because we're getting close to the previous all-time high around $45? Certainly so, right? We are getting close. Our high here this Monday close was 44.39. And when we get to 45, it could potentially be a strong resistance levels there. But it doesn't look like it wants to stop, right? So I don't know if it's going to end up stopping there. Well, if it doesn't stop there, where is this going to go, right? That's one question. And if it stops there, where's it going to go down, right? I think those are the couple of questions that traders might ask. And also a lot of investors, they want to try and de-risk a little bit here, they might ask. But the answer is not that easy. I can give you some thoughts in terms of what it might be. One thought would be that if we're able to pass the previous all-time high around $45, the next price level is going to be around the 1.618 Fibonacci level, right? $69 or $70. I'm just rounding up $70, right? That could be a potential region as to where it might land. And I can show you why that is. Like throughout the other stocks you're looking at, for example, you look at NVIDIA, from the cycle top here around late 2021 to cycle bottom around 2022, the first area, as soon as it made this big giant bounce up, the first area that really ended up hitting a snag was at the 1.618, right? 1.618 potentially could be a resistance level. Now, even when it gets there, you can see a little bit of deceleration. You can see a little bit of deceleration here. Like there are huge acceleration here. Boom, boom, boom. These big candles, right? Get to the upper Bollinger Band, and then it starts to decelerate, and that's when it starts to kind of exhaust you a little bit, right? So even when it got there, it's just like going to a gas station. You buy $5 of gas, you're trying to pump it, and then once it gets closer to about $5, it's going to push slower and slower, right? That's kind of what's been happening over here. So it gave you a little bit of warning sign. It doesn't always do that because over here you hit a snag over here, but it's a pretty all of a sudden like boom. And it's just like, okay, too much, just go sideways for a long time, right? Here, not so much, right? I mean, like you get a little bit of deceleration here. So 1.618 potential level. Another thing to look at too, end phase, right? You're talking about this big bear market followed by this big giant bull market. Where was the first resistance that you're starting to see here? From the bear market to the bull market. Where is the first resistance level that you start seeing? 1.618. This is really the first level over here that you've really hitting some snack, right? Google, right? 2022 bear market went from top down to the bottom and then push all the way up here 2022, 2023, 2024. Where did it end up hitting a snag here before it got rejected? Hard, right? 1.618, right? Even a QQQ, you're talking about the QQQ from the 2022 bear market all the way up to where price is at right now. Why are we having a hard time pushing through above? Because of 1.618, right? This is actually a really beautiful market symmetry, by the way. It looks like these arc and arcs over here is serving as perfect resistance until it hits the 1.618 level. It's absolutely beautiful. But anyway, it got rejected here at 1.618. So 1.618 means something, right? And the price could potentially continue to gravitate upwards to 1.618 before it might hit any major snag, because currently it doesn't really seem like it's really wanting to do that, which would be insane if you just end up having another 4 months or something like that hitting 1.618 here. That's really overextended. Even now, arguably, we're closing about the upper Bollinger Band for months number 1, 2, and 3, right? Whenever it gets to about like 3 or 4, I guess there's really more like 4. If you have like 4 monthly candles about the upper Bollinger Band, I'm a little bit worried. Maybe you're going to hit a little bit of a resistance here, right? 5 candles over here, right above the upper Bollinger Band, sideways for like 7 months, you know? Yeah, over here, something crazy, right? You never know. Maybe Palantir is experiencing one of these things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 candles outside the upper Bollinger Band with consecutively, right? In 2016, consecutively, 9 candles outside upper Bollinger Band. Price went all the way from like, well, I guess pre split, and all that, like 90 cents all the way up to like $3. 8 candles, right? So I don't know what Palantir is going to do. Could it be number 1, 2, and 3, and then that would be it? And it would just get going back down to like the 0.786 or even 0.618. Could that be it? And then bounce up a little bit higher, maybe. The trend currently does not suggest it. The trend currently suggests that this is a very high growth company and that it's been undervalued, and it wants to push the valuation up, and then eventually it's going to push it up to the point where the valuation is justified, and beyond it can get to irrationality because it's a trend, right? Trend keeps going up. I don't want to stand in front of the trend. I think that my most likelihood is going to hit like 1.618. Now, instead of looking at this when in doubt, you don't know exactly where it could end up hitting. What could you do? Well, you could look at Fibonacci level in a different way. A different way to look at Fibonacci's is the Gann square, right? The Gann square, all these arcs, all these lines, they're basically based on Fibonacci levels. And you're also looking in a way of different angles in different arcs. So I want to do some market symmetry here. I want to do 360, which is generally a multiple 45 that we generally like to use, right? So 360 here, and I'm going to change that to 1, which is what you're supposed to do. What are we seeing over here? Do we see any market symmetry? Pretty good, actually, right? You see that price has kind of really been respecting these arcs on the way up as resistance and support, right? Resistance and support, right? And we've battled this horizontal line over here around $30, pushed through it, back tested the 0.618 very beautifully. It couldn't even wait until you back tested 0.618. It was like, okay, tapped it, let's go. Push through the 0.786 like it wasn't even there, and right now we got to close to all-time high, right? The next levels that could potentially serve as resistance would be this arc over here, which would be like the low 50s, and this arc over here, which would be maybe around like $60, right? Or high 50s, somewhere around there, depending on where it hits, right? After that, I do think that most likely major, like it might end up decelerating here because you're starting to hit some resistance, and by the time we get to 1.618, you might have a lot of energy that's being exhausted. That's kind of what I'm seeing. 1.618 is also very confluent with this horizontal line over here around $70. So I can totally see it kind of hit, get a little bit of it, kinks in the armor, if you will, and hit the 1.618, and it can slow down. Now, am I guaranteeing you that is going to hit there, or could it go down, push down further? Sure, anything can happen, right? But I don't bet against trend, right? I don't bet against trend. Trend says higher, I follow higher, right? Can it push through the 1.618 and get to the 2.618 by 2026, 2027? Entirely possible. But this is basically a reflection of what whales think about the fundamentals of Palantir. Technical analysis is not done in isolation. It has to be done in the context of what you're thinking, right? Lines and curves and clouds, none of these mean anything unless if you're using it in context of trying to figure out what the whales are doing, because whales know more about the fundamentals behind the scenes before you actually even know about it. That's why retail investors, when they do fundamental analysis, unless if they're really savvy, is almost always delayed, because you just don't have the information that the whales have. And how do you figure out the information the whales have? Well, there are a lot of different ways to do it. Volume. You can do it through, the whale indicators that like Danny uses, or you can just try to figure out if there's any trend change with a lot of different technical analysis that I use. At this point, trend is up. I don't want to bet against it. If it corrects all the way down to like the 0.786 to like $36, great. Would I buy more? I don't know. I mean, I don't really know. My cost average is in teens, I might, because I think this thing's going higher. But that's kind of what I'm seeing. Is it going to backtest some of these levels down here? I don't know, right? Is it going to backtest the tanking down here around 36.7, right? Right around 0.76. I don't know. It doesn't look like it wants to, but if it does, it'd be logical. Is the weekly trend exhausted? Let's look at the Bollinger Band. The answer is not really. I mean, you do have a little bit of curling up over here, which basically tells you, hey, maybe we're starting to kind of get a little bit tired over here. But that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing. You have a little bit of curling up here. It doesn't mean that the trend ends, right? Because the upper Bollinger Band continues to expand upwards, right? So it really does remind. This is actually even more bullish than it was over here, because the upper Bollinger Band really is starting to contract over here, right? You don't really have the upper Bollinger Band here contracting. It looks like it just wants to keep pointing up, which is insane. Right here, you have all these 5 candles closing way above the upper Bollinger Band on weekly. You don't really have that here, right? So it looks like it wants to keep going higher. And then on top of that, even if you start to have a little bit of Bollinger Band squeeze over here, you have a little bit of Bollinger Band squeeze over here, price can keep going up for another month or two, right? Price could keep going up for another month or two. Who knows where it's going to end? I don't know. I would not get in the way. And if I am looking to short, I would not short a bull trend. First of all, it's just entirely very, very difficult to do. And I would also not sell here. I'm just gonna keep riding it up, and if I end up being a fool for riding up, then so be it. But I really do think that if this company is able to continue to grow 30 to 35% plus annually, this can keep going up for higher, and it could potentially shock myself. Anyway, I just wanted to share my quick thoughts on Palantir, and it's a little bit pumpy, but I would be a little bit pumpy if I feel that everybody's bullish on it. Not everybody is bullish on it. Matter of fact, I think that there are still a lot more bears that are being developed on Palantir right now as we speak. And I don't want to get in the way of a very powerful bull trend here on the weekly and on the monthly. I just don't want to get in the way of it. Time and time again, these things just keeps happening. I just don't know where the bull trend's going to end. I just don't know, right? Anyway, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I just wanted to share my thoughts, and if I end up holding where it's now instead of taking profit and the price end up going back to 30, or lower, then then I'm wrong. But at this point, I'm not selling a single share. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Have a good one. Bye.